Hello everybody, welcome back to Limbus Company. Been a little on and off with recording this, but I thought I might as well come back and record the new intervalo, which is spring cultivation. So yeah, let's get right into it. Amazing. Oh god, I gotta use family hierarch. Okay. Reward exchange is Rooster Sinclair. And then the rest of that's whatever. Okay. Well, if I can get Rooster Sinclair, I'll use him, but for now, let's just get right into the storyline, right? Whoops. The hall was chill with tense air, and those present all sat in complete silence. Then there was Ji Yanchun, with her lips slightly curled into a mirthless sneer. And at the center of it sat Ji Chun, unsure of what to say next. Well, everyone? Ji Yanchun, seated next to the hierarch seat upon which Ji Chun sat, smoothly takes control of the situation and begins the assembly. Honored heads of the house is lords of each family, their proxies, members, and... She nods lightly, acknowledging our awkward presence. And little Ji Chun's guests, who stay here at RH Corp, seems to be extending without a foreseeable end. Isn't she technically the G Corp? Isn't she technically from Q Corp? What's up with her acting like she's less of an outsider than we are? Yeah, and did everyone catch that RH Corp? Regardless of everything else, the fact that she hijacked the meeting from the get-go is ridiculous, especially with Ji Chun, the family hierarch herself, presiding over this official assembly. Clearly, she is using the pretense of assisting the hierarch to assert her own dominance onto these proceedings. We are all aware venerable former Ji Mu has always discussed with and confided in me with the matters of greatest import, the momentous of which steered the very course of H Corp's projects. Even after I departed the family for Q Corp, venerable former Ji Mu has always written missives to confer such matters with me. Something about it smelled suspicious, but we already missed the window to challenge her to present us with proof without breaking decorum. Thus, as it naturally follows that I would be the inheritor of the venerable Ji Mu's will, I shall be presiding over this regular assembly, which we convene now to discuss and determine the future of H Corp. What a grandiose and self-important introduction. It seemed clear to me that she considered herself to be the main character of this scene, or something. Your grace clearly benefits your station, Lady Yanchun. Just has a fucking bag of cash. We are impressed by your utmost dedication to the citizenry of Hongwan, despite your already saturated schedule. I can hardly thank you enough for your magnanimity, Lady Yanchun. Hey, I know this guy. Ah, my parents. A true shame they couldn't be here. Have always sung praises of your expertise, Lady Yanchun. Hey, I know that guy too. Responses from the participants are just as protracted, only esquit instead of arrogant. I wonder if we're going to see the people from the library again. As heads of some of those houses were under investigation for consorting with the forces foreign to Hongwan, the vacuum was filled by their children's generations, many of whom had the pleasure of meeting during the family hierarch war. Very well, then shall we welcome Ji Chun, the next person to sit upon the seat of Hongwan's family hierarch. Greetings, I am... Now let us begin. For many years, all those who gathered here have toiled day and night for the external prosperity and growth of H Corp. Ji Chun's expression immediately sours as Yanchun unceremoniously cuts off her self-introduction. First on the agenda of this assembly are urgent discussions and passage of new major policy, items that have been tabled for too long. Distributive contribution rights, auctioning policy, quarterly amnesty policy. Oh, hold on, big sister Yanchun. Passing the distributive contribution rights auctioning policy would allow the open action for any remaining rooms the day before reconstruction begins, and the quarterly amnesty wouldn't do anything but give unfair advantages to certain families and high net worth individuals by guaranteeing them large estate assignments regardless of their performance in the previous quarter. Ji-chun stutters a little, flustered, before continuing. My point is, these policies are going to rattle H-Corp's economy the moment they go into effect. Besides, these policies were pretty much drawn to favor lining the pockets of a select few families and high-ranking officials of H-Corp. If I may, Venerable Hierarch, lining the pockets. That is quite an odd turn of phrase to refer to the bare minimum of respect the society might repay to its highest contributing members, don't you think? Oh, before we continue, Ji-chun, I'm not entirely certain if you are aware, but ever since the ascension of the new family hierarch, the perceived value of Hongwan has been racing for, the lack of a better word, rock bottom. Clearly, this demonstrates Hongwan's concern and its lack of faith in the newly appointed family hierarch. Therefore, it naturally follows that our most urgent task at hand is to put a stop to this value and reputation-free fall, and restore prosperity and greatness to Hongwan once again. Yeah, okay, that's the family hierarch's job, right? Why are you? If you had pursued H-Corp's Articles of Association, you would have known that should H-Corp be deemed to be in a state of crisis, the four great houses and the Board of Directors' voice may also carry de facto power in the Assembly. And the Board of Directors, that's us, has determined that we are now in a state of crisis. State of crisis? What crisis? Everything that led to my ascension to the family hierarch was legitimate, down to the final approval. These unseemly rumors and slander are tanking our value, which we have built up studiously through years upon years of toil. So what is this, if not a state of crisis? And who wouldn't doubt that the new family hierarch's qualities, when this decline has been conceded precisely with her ascension? Ji Yanchan was somehow turning the room against Ji-chun, without presenting a single shred of evidence, portraying her as a burdensome hierarch who was single-handedly taking H-Corp's value. No one in the assembly, not a single representative from families present, stepped up to point out Ji-chun's swift actions were what finally repelled the outside forces that had marched right up to Hongwan's front yard, or how she deftly maneuvered her forces to quell the embers of war by quickly taking control of the chaos within Dongwon. She hadn't shown any glaring signs of incompetence since her ascension, despite her relative inexperience, but... Everyone in Hongwan's board of directors, the heads of each family, averted their eyes as though all that had somehow slipped their minds. So take yourself to be qualified individual for that responsibility, Ji-chun? Very well then, proceed. We're all waiting for you to begin your briefing before the Assembly regarding the last 30 years' quarterly net revenue records for Hongwan's singularity-related business, your calculations on the next year's fiscal debt forecasts, and the exact recipe and variation numbers for boluses that have been registered in the last 5 years. The Venerable Hierarch has not received that data prior to the meeting. You must all be aware of the chaos that followed the Ascension. We are still indexing all available materials to... Isn't that funny? Not once in the history of the Hongwan has the family hierarch ever failed to provide immediate and detailed answers regarding Hongwan's historical statistics. Ji Yanchan must have known all along, too. She must have known how the previous family hierarchs were all directly supplied with immense repository of information through the Zhuanghong worm, or something of the equivalent. And she's using it to target Ji-chun's weakness, knowingly asking questions she, the first family hierarch without the Animan worm, couldn't possibly answer. The responsibilities tied to the venerable seat of a hierarch, Ji Mu, are matched only by the great power bestowed upon it. Thus, how are we to leave the matter of the wing to someone who is, so evidently, unprepared for the task? Given the present circumstances, our hands may be forced to call a vote to vote the motion of no confidence. The motion of no confidence. A motion of no confidence, when passed by the high-ranking political officials, can result in the removal of chief executive from office. So they're going after Ji-chun's power. So this is the picture of Ji Yanchan wanted to paint. Impotent family hierarch, stammering and stumbling through her first meeting to the total and near unanimous lack of support from the H-Corp board of directors. Whatever jargon they're on about. Seems to me that they got no ounce of respect for the lass or us. Never trust twats overly obsessed with numbers and optimizations. They'll be the first ones to kick you out the moment they no longer see you as useful. You're not the only one he's pissed off. Can you please stop shaking your leg for a second? Don't need to make a frustration any more obvious, you know. My arse would have left the chair long ago if it weren't for this lass. In H Corp, should the board of directors unanimously vote in favor of the motion, certain parts of the family hierarch's power will be removed. It is entirely possible that she will become a hierarch in name only. Oh, so they're threatening to fire her unless she falls in line. This is needlessly convoluted a way to... The Assembly will now consider the motion of no confidence. Are there any objectives to bringing the motion of no confidence against family hierarch Ji Chun to the floor? Hold on. Vote of no confidence is an item you can invoke so lightly. The Shi family has no objection. Let's say the Wang family has no objections either. Xu family too. The arrest of the previous family head seems to have changed precisely nothing. Those in power wore more youthful faces, but their tongues still carried the same old resistance to change. The new family heads were just as uncooperative as ever, and everyone seemed to be solely interested in staying in Zi Yanchun's good graces. New faces, same old. And needless to say, Heathcliff wasn't the only sinner fuming with rage. 'Tis far too vexing to simply watch and do not. Right? I knew you wouldn't let this slide, Don Quixote. They're walking over Ji-Chun like she's not even here. Forsooth, we cannot let this injustice transpire unabated. Hey, seems like we're both on the same page here. That's it. I'm not going to hesitate to make myself heard again. This time, I want to be courageous. With your help, Don Quixote. Come on, let's do this together, okay? Very well, I'm in agreement. Yeah, then let's go. On 3, at the same time. If there are no objections. 1, 2... The Assembly will put this resolution to vote in a month, and... 3. Here, I objection. Bloody hell, have you gone mental? Sinclair stood tall at the center of the entire room's unindicted astonishment, alone. Don Quixote, still firmly in her seat, gazed upon Sinclair's proud stand, and rubbed her nose. Young Sinclair, thou hast evolved indeed. What an unmitigated pursuer of justice thou hast become, with such unrelenting fervor, and utter disregard for decorum. Certainly, mine efforts have finally borne fruit. But what the hell? Did Don Quixote or Heathcliff suddenly rub off on you or something? No, wait, no. What happened there, Don Quixote? Where were we going to? What happened to objecting together? Oh, I had taken thy suggestion to mean that we must voice our dissatisfaction through the official channels, borrowing the titles of the illustrious Red Gaze and Department of LCC. Disputes in succession on power are a high level of government are hardly ever resolved with rash grandstanding. Would thou not agree? Why are you normal all of a sudden? Dad, what the hell happened? What happened to the clammy meek boy? Well, that's... I guess I just assume this is how Limbus Company rolls now. There seems to be an unexpected outburst from Ji-Chun's guests. Withdraw your objection, and we will consider this momentary loss of control, and not enter it as an official statement. It was, Sinclair's eyes were shaking like someone with their life on the line. If not, I'll take it that you have full confidence in her abilities. So please, I encourage you to elaborate. When and how will Ji-Chun demonstrate her aptitude for the responsibilities of the family hierarch? His voice considers to shrivel into a corner. He can't, and how could anyone? How could anyone, when we all have a very clear view of her path to ascension? During the family hierarch evaluation, Ji Baiyu donated his coins he received from GQ to you. Essentially, you pity-partied your way to the victory. Pity-partied? And for your ascension, GQ and all those outsiders from any upstart company had to, almost literally, carry you to your seat. Was there even a single victory attained by your own hands in that entire process? But we have not been to bear... but have we not all been witness to the qualities she exhibited during the family hierarch evaluation on her own ascension? You must have no shame shaking your forked tongue in the audience of both heaven and earth like an unwitting buffoon. Oh, is this GQ or the guy who got his head cut off at the end? That's when, quiet, Even footsteps broke through Ji Yunchen's merciless dismantling of Ji Chuchun. Oh, no, it's you. I don't know, I thought the color. Yet, I see a point. The Hierarch, with all her grace, needs only to demonstrate her already established qualifications before all. This is no place for an outsider to speak, but proceed. How will she prove herself before us? What an odd statement. Coming from a fellow outsider who's been chattering for minutes on end. Forgive me. I could only presume from your verbosity that the right to speak in this forum was open to all outsiders. You've said it yourself now. That the vote of no confidence resolution will proceed in a month. That seems to give the venerable Hierarch a month to regain the trust of each family. What? It is rather clear to me that there are many those who find their own defeat in the family Hierarch war difficult to accept. Such a doubt is easily resolved. A match between clans should lay out the results quite obviously. Very well. A fair challenge between clans, which would preclude the participation of the family Hierarch's Haishu packs and the Zhilan guards. So you would remove her cannon and chariot before the games even begin. Why not make this a test, a series of sparring matches in both academy and martial arts, if such is the case? What audacity. Do you truly have that much faith in Ji-chan's abilities? You must know the consequences of failing these matches now. It'd be unanimous, one-sided end with a vote of no confidence. And naturally, any and all rights pertaining to the family Hierarch shall be transferred to the board of directors. That is fine by us. You are free to choose any champion whom you see fit. Unfortunately, your underlings don't seem to share your inflated confidence. But in the midst of the confusion, flabbergasted, silence from the other sinners, a clear, carefree, yet defiant voice rings out, Hong Lu's retort. That's not true, big sister Yunchan. We each have much confidence in Ji-chan as she does. His wide eyes stared directly and unblinkingly into Ji Yunchan's. It occurred to me that this might be his way of expressing anger. Impudent child, how dare he stare me down like that? Then you are welcome to try. 1 month. You have a month to prove before all the audience that she is indeed fit to be the family Hierarch. Should you fail, the vote may as well be a mere formality. In other words, should she successfully prove herself, none of you shall rightfully challenge the independent rights and powers bestowed upon the family Hierarch. The consequences of such recalcitrance would be no different from those of traitors are facing, wouldn't you agree? Well then, we will excuse ourselves now. Wait, Jigong turns around towards us with the same mysterious smile, and slowly directs us outside the assembly hall. We may call them sparring matches, but you must know each and every one of them is a test to prove your claim to the seat of the family Hierarch. A month is a time far too brief for drastic improvement, regardless of whom it may be. Learning from a proper master for 10 months straight might teach you a few things, but who knows how long you search for one such master might take, not to mention the official channels through which you must bring them past Dongwon's walls, which may take up to 2 months. Why not relent now and relinquish a part of your powers as the family Hierarch to the board of directors? It seems this fellow outsider's mental faculties are impressively lacking. My lord has spoken in the past that, when in presence of 3 people, at least one of them is bound to be a teacher of mine. And here they are, aren't they? Ji-Chun's masters, each carrying something new to teach her. All 13 of them. Dante, teach her how to revive people. Oh god. Zigong gestured confidently towards the flabbergasted sinners, and the assembly came to an end. Oh my god, I really hope. Please let me play Musume, but just on fucking Limbus Company. Oh god, more reading. 12 teachers. Damn. Sorry, Dante. Oh, unless Sinclair's not teaching, but I doubt Dante's teaching. We were planning to train Ji-chun anyway, but it seems we are now under an unexpected deadline. Hey, when you said the LCB was going to help me out, did you guys mean you were going to publicly humiliate the crap out of me at the assembly? Of course not, Ji-chun. Big sister Yunchen's an old snake. You've just given her 30 days to set the perfect stage for my downfall, to prove to the world once and for all that I'm not qualified to be the family Hierarch. Ji-chun, were you always good at humbling anyone who dared underestimate you? Not so much anyone. Back then, like an idiot, I thought I just had to hold on with everything I had. I thought that's all I ever had to do, but now... But now? Now, things are different. It's true that I'm vastly underqualified to be a family hierarch, and she's right. I pretty much lucked into this position. Shi-chan, don't mail me that woman's bullshit she got to you. Well, she wasn't completely wrong, right? I'm just some kid who happened to be good enough to survive some traps and ambushes. I'm afraid that the responsibility of the family hierarch might be too much. Oh god, how am I gonna voice this guy? I just monotone. Her self-confidence has significantly decreased compared to the observation from our previous interaction. The heck, Shi-chan? I don't remember you being this kind of character. What happened to the girl who looked down on us the moment we met? You even had the audacity to pretend not to know who we were, didn't you? Where'd all that confidence go, girl? That actually got under her skin back then, didn't it? Huh. So, Shi-chan, what do you want to do? Are you sure you're okay with this? Are you okay with letting this happen? If I let it happen, Big Sister Yan-chun's gonna continue expanding her influence here. I'm sure she's got the board of directors all cozying up to each other for a long time. Is the implication that her testaments on the influence were true? Yep, it's true. Before she left Q Corp, Big Sister Yan-chun always used to accompany Ji Mu to these assemblies. If we just let him hold the vote of no confidence, they're going to unanimously vote against me and slowly reduce the family hierarch's scope of power. And who knows, they might even call a re-evaluation. However unlikely that sounds. Besides, Big Sister Yan-chun's sure. I think her definition of Hongwan's prosperity might be different from mine. What she's looking for isn't H-Corp's prosperity, it's Dongwan's. And I know that all has something to do with its ties to Q-Corp, which I bet has already been going on for a while just under my radar. I'm sure they've already had plenty of talks behind my back. Which is the kind of vision you have for Hongwan. Which is not the kind of vision you have for Hongwan's future, right? And that's why you spoke up against her. My vision for Hongwan is... I want to change H-Corp to be the kind of place where people can live without fear. I just never imagined I'd have to prove myself like this, and in only 30 days. You're kind of like A, but on a lot smaller scale. Kind of like L-Corp. Even then, your vision hasn't changed, right? It hasn't. Great. So it's decided then. We just need Fao to deliver the bad news to Sod. So to summarize, the responsibilities of training Shi-chan to win these matches, these amorphous tests, upon which hinges the family hierarch's fate, and almost every facet of which is entirely under Shi-chan's control, by the way, and is probably a trap, within the next 30 days, is ours. And we have to explain that to Sod. Wow. Sounds like you have a lot of work. Sounds like a lot of work when you put it like that. Post-mortem reports have been quite the road. Perthy, that must impress upon the illustrious red gaze that this wasn't my idea this time. Sinclair stared blankly at Don Quixote as she made her desperate plea towards Sod. Yes, I understand. For the 8th time. As always, Sod was wearing the same refreshingly incomprehensible smile. The kind of smile that makes people increasingly anxious the longer it lasts. Well, that gives us about 30 days, during which those sparring matches, tests, whatever, will be happening as well. Great, then let's give it our best. Sinclair mutters in a near whisper, clearly feeling responsible for what happened. Yeah, I understood. I never should have stepped out of line like that, but something just... Yeah, so let's give it our best. I totally agree. We messed up everything again. And... What? Limbus Company was always going to remain here and assist Ji-chan. Ji-chan. Zhao? Ji-chan. Acclimatize herself to the responsibilities of the family hierarch. It was always a part of our plan. Well, I sure am glad that I took Faust's advice about how meticulous planning is completely pointless when it comes to LCB's missions. I never would have had to submit 9 separate disciplinary reports back during the J-Corp incident had I known. I believe we should be able to explain this further. Prior to his departure, my lord was concerned that such a thing would come to pass. That is why he has left Zilu and I here to look after the new family hierarch position, which must still be on rather thin ice. That's kinda nice. I liked Zilu. You're alright. Oh, so that's what they were privately talking about when he pulled them aside. Doing nothing and allowing her wicked machinations to progress would have irreversibly made the entire board of directors naught but putty in Yan Chun's hands. And that would have led the snake to de facto assume the seat of family hierarch. Against such an insidious foe who wields intrigue as her weapon, the most viable strategy is to be the most direct one, to challenge her head-on. Besides, has this not given you an excuse to prolong your company's stay in Dongwon? This is a prime opportunity for Ji Chun to further solidify her influence here. Depending on the outcome of the vote of no confidence, they have played right into our hands by accepting this deal. So, I don't want to rain on anyone's parade, but are we not going to consider what might happen if we fail? No, we are not, because you will not fail. Not with us aiding your efforts. Also, were you serious back there when you said we were all going to teach Ji Chun? All 12 of us? I won't object to selecting only a few of us with better aptitude to be educators. It'd be really funny if I could throw Lord of Hongwon to fucking teach Ji Chun. And by the way, we have already established internal hierarchy based on the sum of each of our abilities. Of course, the results were entirely to my satisfaction, due to the unexpected incident. Miss Otis. What the fuck was his voice? Sorry. Miss Otis. That is a statement mirrored in narrowed vision rife, with factual refractions. I am of the stance that the qualities of a good teacher are defined by not such statistics. So you must be the one he placed last in that scale. Just don't say anything, bud. Best not to stand out like a sore thumb. I may have overreacted then. My lord has said that, for the fortuitous that we must learn to replicate their merits. From the flawed, we may learn to avoid their failings. As long as the student is willing to learn, anything can be a teacher. I also, to embrace this teaching, seek from all those who we come across. Just what in the heavens are you doing? Haha, I am preparing a lesson for young Ji Chun, our family hierarch. Wow, you sure got on that fast. So what are the yellow wormy things here? Disasar, twinkling in its radiance. According to the schedule you have prepared, the student would have a negative 3 hours available for sleep. The lesson plan's execution will require cooperation from T-Corp. Gah, 'twould be a mistake most fatal indeed. I shall correct it post-haste. Zhigang was staring at Don Quixote's expression of her wild artistic merit upon the curriculum with her usual crescent moon eyes. Wait, is that supposed to be Zhigang's grimace? Of course, each to their own, I suppose. I need not be shaken by every little thing until we have an actual lesson plan in our hands. Hey, thanks for putting your faith in us, Zhigang. We barely have any of that to go around ourselves, so I understand it couldn't have been easy. You could say that I have learned my lesson. The recent events have taught me that the path of learning is truly one without end. Amazing. Oh man. Another student. Oh god, more reading. I can't imagine there being any battles here. I mean, there has to be, but I don't know. Oh my god, it's Zilu. Hell yeah. The Pinky now. I see that you've all individually worked. On your lesson plans as per Zhigang's request. Oh my god. She has a little bunny. That's so cute. I don't know, I didn't expect her to actually just be a normal woman. I have received a total of 12 mission plans. Hold on, Shouldn't there be 13 of them? Even the executive manager has decided to spare their present time to teach a class. Really? Huh? Yeah, I handed... Dante's gonna be... Oh, I'm in love. Thank you, Dante, my hero. Huh? Yeah, I handed him my lesson plan, too. That is because... So who didn't do their homework? After a brief silence, everyone turned around and looked at one of the centers. I was gonna guess Sinclair. It ain't me. Oh, please. At least try to make a compelling argument. What other than you could possibly... It's me. Oh, yeah, I was right. You think you've been acting out of character a lot recently. What's going on? Well, that's, Sinclair was drenched in sweat for some reason. Actually, in Sinclair's seat was a large stack of papers, each filled to the brim with writing. Sinclair, are these papers... Ooh, I'm done. Sorry, I got into making a lesson plan and I couldn't stop myself from writing. Whoa. Sinclair couldn't have appeared more proud as he placed that big bundle of sweat-soaked papers in Zilu's hand. And she received it with mild trepidation. You seem to have dedicated quite the momentous effort in drawing up this lesson plan. What's up with her? Let's start reviewing with the first stack of papers. 108, Analytical Approaches to Aesthetics AAA? What does AAA mean? And how do you plan to explore all 108 approaches in a month? Appreciation of artistry and assassinations. F you. Went too far. Right. Sorry. Flip a page and continue reading for those 108 approaches. What paint did you use? It's quite viscous, and the paper is partially melted. Lady, watch yourself. You almost got some on my arm. The painting. Zilu? And trails coating the world. Now you know how the aesthetists appreciate the artistry of slaughter. Just what the hell did you paint in the paper? Hey, get it together. Zilu stumbled briefly. Whatever was on the paper must have given her quite the shock. My mind wandered for a set moment. This is too dangerous to be used in a lesson. Thus it goes to the discard pile. Weak sauce. Zilu crumpled up the paper without hesitation and tossed it out of sight. Next. Intro to Societal Reintegration. Impressive title. Chapter 1. How to shake hands with your left hand when the situation calls for it. Chapter 2. Exploration of exclusively long-sleeved fashion and practices. Chapter 3. Projecting confidence and why having a bug arm is totally cool. That's, you know how it is. Be proud of who you are and all that philosophy stuff. I wanted this lesson to give a bit of a paradigm shift, where we come across to see our flaws not as failings, but as evidence of our individuality, which will usher us in a world where we can carry on with our lives, no matter what kind of arm we have. Discard. Next. Zilu quickly flipped through the pages. Intro to Denigrative Linguistics. Subheading. The power of words, sticks and stones may break their bones. So let's add words to the pile. My credentials include the ability to drift down an opponent so hard they fall to their knees and beg me to stop. I have plans for application as well. The lesson teaches methods pertaining to disguising compliments and criticisms and vice versa. All this seems rather difficult to learn. I've concluded from my Hithrio observation that Ji Chun is an individual of great promise in this field. Follow my instructions to a T, and I guarantee you that this candidate shall be able to have the upper hand in any verbal confrontations. Is this a curriculum to make the best brawler of the family hierarch out of me? Zilu seems quite interested, but Ji Chun's vehement veto eventually overruled the suggestion. On Justice, another impressive title. So this is Don Quixote? Subheading. Methodologies of captivating an entire room of preoccupied audience. Discard. Oh yeah. Fie on thee! Wherefore? Next. Praxis of ego splitting pose. Okay, I'm assuming this is Yisang. I thought it would say like Yisang somewhere. Praxis of ego splitting concerning inter-mirror conflict between the self and inter-reflection, and paradoxic ally-fractured theory of idolism, which one attempts to open an unopened door to open the door. This is something that was in his Mirror of the Fathoms, wasn't it? Not exactly, but close enough. Utterly incomprehensible. Discard. Perhaps Miss Ryoshu's advice to truncate the lesson title should have been taken in earnest. Survival and exploration. 21 reasons to pay attention when the exploration team leader is giving advice on the upcoming adventure. Case study for 30 horrible experiences that occurred when the team was distracted during the leader's lecture. Ishmael? How to track down a troublemaker who tried to sweep trouble under the rug while the team leader isn't looking. Someone ignored my advice that we should have moved 2 steps ahead. Finally, I've narrowed them down to 3 culprits. Oh wait, I forgot to take that part out. What is this picture? And into the shredder it went. When did that paper shredder get here? The art of yawning as a cover of popping a cookie in your mouth into your mouth. Especially useful when getting lectured. Hey, if you get good enough at it, you can do that with nuts too. So it's you who made those crunching noises in our last meeting. What? No, do you take me for an amateur? The art of social maneuvers, how to let it flow through you. How to not make things awkward when you walk right into someone bad-mouthing you. The most important part of the art is to flash a refreshing smile in a way that looks earnest. It helps when you convince yourself that smiling is what brings good fortune. Smiles have a way of disarming people, giving them pause and making them hesitate. I remember that. Big Bro used that technique to confuse a lot of Dongguan people who hated him. I see. This... well, this... I can't quite bring myself to throw this into the shredder. Next. How to remain in complete stillness for a week until the next command is received. I'm assuming this is Mersault. This is a lesson plan designed based on Rodion's advice that I must prioritize strengths that are unique to myself. Look, in my defense, I didn't know he considered that to be his unique strength, okay? Let us consider whether standing in complete stillness for a week is a quality one might seek in the family hierarch. This one is certainly interesting. What separates bravado from bravery? Jack shite. Sod off and grab your weapons. Yep, always gotta read the full print. I can't wait to see Dante's. I don't know. Dante's so cool. It's my philosophy that reason didn't necessarily need to be considered before coming to blows. Martial art prowess is indeed an indispensable part of the family hierarch's qualities. But our focus is not on developing a hierarchy of a syndicate. Next. Information disparity as a driver of inequitable treatment. Huh? Oh. That's actually the most interesting sounding one so far. I'm assuming it's Faust. And the application of engineering frameworks? Okay, it's kind of losing me, but I'm still on board. For systematic resolution in rational self-interest driven societies, and... wait, this seems very important. Information disparity is a driver of inequitable treatment, and the application of engineering frameworks for the Gesellschaft. Systematic information disparity. Is Faust not being treated well? At least, that's what I'm assuming this is saying. Is it still going? That was 1/5 of the full title. Could you read it? It seems that we have the same troubles has hindered both you and I. Every word in that title was added for its absolute necessity. Indeed, indeed. After she'd gone through the majority of the lesson plans. Finally. Now that that's over. Did we not get to see Dante's? Some bullshit. Yeah, it's finally my turn. Ooh. Sinclair sighed with the gravitas of someone who's just been bestowed with the most important mission of their life. Thinking back, even back in school I used to dream about becoming a teacher myself. I thought I could be good at it. So I guess you could say I'm pretty happy to be given an opportunity like this. I call my lesson the theory of self-overcoming. We have to accept that everyone stumbles at first, but it's not always striving to be a better person than I was yesterday. Hey, but what if I like who I was... But what if I like who I was yesterday more? That's okay. Everyone has their own unique potential sleeping deep inside. So with everything I've learned and experienced so far, let me teach you. Let me teach you how to not doubt your own capabilities. How to always shoot higher. Discard! Hold on, you had me for a second there. But what's up with you acting like you have an infinitely more enlightened person than I am? Oh, of course. I've prepared a speaking class where you can learn how to speak with modesty, too. Never would have imagined Claire would be this into it. Yeah, too bad he's so into it that he's not even listening to what Ji-Chun's saying. Following that, your company's... Ah, it seems like Ziyu has completed her review. Oh, I see. How's everything going here, everyone? Class prep going well? So, my curriculum most is special. Okay, so that's a no. That was Saad's impression upon taking a quick glance at Don Quixote, who was sobbing and cradling the shredded pieces of her lesson plan in hands. Well, it wasn't a complete bust. At least Sinclair's lesson plan survived. Miss Seagong, Miss Saad, I'm prepared for a full 30 days worth of lesson planning. Would you like to take a look? But Zigong and Saad weren't looking at the dozens of lesson plans Sinclair presented so proudly before their eyes. They were looking away. Zigong, especially, was looking away with unmistakable expression of pity. So he doesn't know. Would you mind explaining this, Zilu? I cannot bring myself to tell him. Apologies. So this young man produced an entire sizable stack of lesson plans all on his own. I see. Weakness has found its way into your heart in the face of such earnest effort. I understand. However, it has been decided that Sinclair will not be participating as one of Ji-Chun's teachers. Or should I call you pupil, Sinclair, to be exact. This has got to be a mistake, right? Isn't Ji-Chun the pupil here? No, there hasn't been any mistakes. My lord has specifically instructed that you are to learn from this as well. What? What? Seriously? This isn't right. Guys, this isn't right. Ah, hell. Looks like a proper classroom. It would have felt pretty darn dang empty with the Ji-Chun sitting there on our own, don't you think? Besides, I bet she thinks the resident expert in going to schools, right? School was a luxury for me, you know? Yeah, maybe. That doesn't mean I ever wanted to go back to school. You should learn to be more grateful. I don't dole out my teachings to just anyone. Don't forget we have to redo the whole lesson plan under their supervision. Otis, you always get on your soapbox and try to lecture everyone about something after every single battle anyways. And you, Ishmael, you always get hyper-fixated on something. Once you find something interesting, you never stop talking about it for 3 hours at least, and... I will ensure that you receive the best education I can provide, Sinclair. Hold on, you sang. I thought we were the underdog duo. Remember during the checkup when I said we got this? We were going to get this together. The evaluation painted a twisted picture of the true scale of strength, the soul's measure of which erroneously relied entirely on physical might. I shall not hesitate to impart knowledge for those who require education. Congrats, my lady. You have found yourself a deskmate, which also some may call a bestie, depending on the desk placement. Deskmate? Bestie? What the heck does any of that mean? Why is she so happy? Huh? Ji-Chun's eyes widened in confusion, as though she heard those words for the first time in her life. She's so jolly, holy shit. She... When I first met her when she was 16, she explained to me that she hadn't attended any school-like institutions. This is par for the course for children of Hongwan who are raised for the purpose of becoming the next family hierarch. The reason being that schools can be a perfect place to assassinate someone. So, deskmates and besties. Sinclair began to explain, seemingly resigned to the fact that he was essentially going back to school for a month, while the other sinners are his teachers. Usually sit next to each other and help one another out. A bestie might nudge the other awake when they doze off, share their homework with one another if one forgets to do theirs. They usually end up being included in the best memories of each other's school time. So, not very important at all, huh? I think I got this on my own. I don't need a bestie. May have come a few years late. but I'm moved that my lady finally has a chance at experiencing school. Same here. I remember it like it was yesterday. Si-chan would sit and watch all the other kids walk to school from a distance, tears welling in their eyes. Dude. Well, that reminds me. One day out of nowhere, she started saying something about eating from lunchboxes with friends. I haven't a clue as to how or where she even heard about it, but she snuck into the kitchen and... wait. Don't you guys have lesson plans to write? Come on, hurry up. 30 days are ticking down and we only got 30 days. Of course. Unfortunately, I've been quite occupied with another task of great importance, assisting away with indexing and reviewing various documents that are in critical need of organizing. Thus, I must leave the lesson planning task to you two, Zilu and Miss Odd. Have you any thoughts on the matter? Slacker. What was that? I said nothing. Amazing. Well, it doesn't look like any combat segments for now. 30 days of class? What? Okay, well, I'm gonna be calling it there, because I've gotten a lot recorded. But, so far it's building up. That's a completely different image. I don't know what that is. But, we have that to look forward to next time I record this. I hope you all enjoyed it. And, I'll be back to record it later. Ooh. So yeah, hope you all have a good one. Bye-bye.